Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, originally indigenous, natural divine heirs. Today is March the 25th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, and it's 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar. And we're ensuring that we have a smooth call today. Our call yesterday was just amazing. And there's been some, if you have an opportunity to listen to the call from yesterday, the 24th, please take the time to do so, because there was a Moor who came on the call yesterday, and he genuinely had some questions about in capitis dimiutio nolo and how that works. Which is honorable. It's honorable to have questions about it, and and ask in a way that genuinely expresses that you have some questions about it based on, why we do things the way we do them, in terms of writing in all lowercase letters. So that has come up several times over the last few weeks, and even since we first began talking about in capitis dimiutio nolo. One thing we do know is that, and there's many things that we know about it, but one thing for sure that we know is that those who were attempting to beat the Moors, okay, those who were pretending to be the heirs while we were asleep, have been using in capitis dimiutio nolo, but they've been using it in black ink. And we found that out and published it on social media so that the Moors can see and can do their own study again. Because everything that we say, we know this to be true, but do your study so that you can see, that what we're saying, we're not making anything up. It's the law, and that's what we go by. And so when you look at in capitis dimiutio minima, and in capitis dimiutio media, and in capitis dimiutio maxima, you can see that it is the loss of status through the use of capital letters. That's what that means. And that is what the capitalism system that's been used is based on. And so, we knew we would get some pushback on that. Why? Because it's taking sandwiches from everyone who was using our sovereign. They were using a status that mimicked our status. Okay? They could never use our sovereign status, but they were using one that mimicked it, except theirs was in black ink and ours is in red ink. So, yes, we're getting a little pushback, but all you have to do is go to, where do we always go? A dictionary, an older dictionary, a Black's Law book dictionary. And we look up what it is that we have questions about. Now, one thing I would say about in capitis dimiutio minima, media, and maxima is that I see that some more still use capital letters. And, we know that slavery is a choice. It's not something that anybody could force on us because we are God. No one can force God to do anything. So if we choose to use capital letters, no one can stop a sovereign from using them to discuss themselves and their sovereign rights. But if they are used, that's a voluntary You're volunteering to reduce your own status based on the definition of those Latin terms. And the thing about how we were taught, quote unquote, taught to write, well, who was doing the teaching? Who was doing the teaching? Was that a Moorish erudition temple that we learned how to write a name in capital letters and use a capital letter to start with and all of that? No, it was not. It was not. That was the foreign hybrids, and we were not even supposed to be there. They were teaching their kids how to write their status, not our status, their status. So what they taught, they were teaching it to the ones who were supposed to have it, except that we didn't have our Moorish temples in place like we're getting them in place now. And in fact, they're already in place. All you have to do is begin teaching your heirs from a curriculum that you do, that you put together based on your study of Moorish high sciences. And so now that we know that our heirs don't have to go to those places and learn animal behaviors, because that's all that is animal behavior. Because there is a reduction in status where the animals are concerned. And when I say animals, I'm talking about all of them. And the sovereign heirs are the only ones on this whole in existence that are not animals. The ones that come from the sovereign womb, not animals, not at all. And so it is incumbent upon us to do our own study on in capitis diminutio nolo. And in capitis diminutio, minima, media, and maxima are the ones that you'll see in Black's law, because that's all Black's law could talk about. Black's law, the writers are not sovereign. And all they did was the same thing they did with the bibliophile. Okay, look at our stuff and copy it, but leave out all the stuff that pertains to the sovereign heirs. Why? Because that's our job, to wake up and proclaim what's true for the sovereign. Period. And yes, in the chat, Justice Theodore, once we know better, we have to do better, because we're held accountable for the information that we have. We're held accountable for that. I would not be sitting here now if I did not know what I'm telling you is true. I would not be sitting here. I would be in a jail cell. But because I knew what I know now and what I'm speaking on at this point, they were not able to hold me in a jail cell. They were not able to do that, because I would not answer to that. Whatever they were saying, I just spoke the law, clearly. I did anything that had anything to do with all capital letters and black ink. I didn't have anything to do with it, including the food. Including the food. So they couldn't hold me. And anything that was attached to the all caps name in all black ink, they could not pin that on this living body. And the only reason that I keep putting that forward is because it's time for us to move out of that stuff. We need to move out of it because, and I'll tell you this, many of us have moved out of it and we're not going back to capitalism, because our vast estate is opening up so quickly. Access to it is opening up so quickly you would not believe it. And that's about to go on super, super, super high. But those who, take, again, always take your time, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. But when we know better, we have to do better, because the ancestors hold us accountable for the information that's out there. So we're not saying anything that we haven't actually demonstrated openly in front of everybody. And the ancestors did exactly what they said they would do when we honor them. So Do your study on a capitis, diminutio, minimum, media, maxima, and know that there is a fourth category that only the sovereigns can name it. Because just like in the bibliotext, in the beginning, God created, and then the names came of things. We don't have names. We have appellations. Why? Because no one can name us. We are eternal. So I wanted to put that out there because if that is going to be very key. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. If we're God, we're that one. How was that word expressed? In red in all lowercase letters, period. That's how it was expressed, aside from it being spoken. It's right there in the dictionary, in the Black Law Dictionary, and also in other dictionaries too. Yes, that's your word. In capitis nolo, or in litteris sin capitis, which means letters without capital letters, without capitalization. And in the bibliotext, it also says, the letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. And who's the spirit? We are. We make it alive. The letter killeth, but the spirit maketh alive. I wanted to, are there any other questions about in capitis, diminutio, nolo? Because I want to be sure that we can, because we're going to continue to put it out there the way it's supposed to be out there. Because that is the thing that the masons, the ones doing business as masons, were hiding. Yet they would turn around and use it. We proved that. We showed it. We posted that on social media, that whenever they wanted a benefit, quote unquote, they would use all lowercase letters, and they told all their other brethren to use all of that. When you fill out anything and send it to the quote unquote IRS, which is us in red and all lowercase letters, by the way, that you put it in all lowercase letters. All the names on your roster must be in all lowercase letters, and if they have a middle name, don't put a middle name, just put all lowercase letters, first name and last name. We showed that. That's in alignment with in capitis, diminutio, minimum, media, maximum, but they did not want any, they were not going to claim any loss of status. So why would we? Why would we claim a loss of status by using capital letters? Why? And then when you talk about parts of speech, well, who's speaking? Is it God speaking or is it an animal speaking? Because the parts of speech are going to be different for those two, because they're not the same. So I just want to make that clear, and then also ask if you have any questions about it, you can start it and ask, because we're always open to hearing what the heirs have to say, and we appreciate everyone's view, because this is how we unify and continue to unify. It's talking to them. I wanted to talk briefly also about more. We've been told that we have superabbilities. We've always been told that, and it might sound like a fallacy, or it might sound like something that, that's ethereal or maybe out there. But we literally have superabbilities that manifest, but there is a condition by which that our superabilities can manifest. And when I'm talking superabilities, I am talking about telekinesis and moving things with your thoughts and having your thoughts take control over that which is around you. We've already started that, by the way. all of us have already started that simply by saying we know who we are. That has changed the atmosphere completely around us. And now things are different than they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. The things that we want to change around us with our thoughts and with our minds, those things have a specific makeup. Yes, in the chat. Justice Gilmore said that is true. One must know self and laws of energy. And Justice Al-Shabazz says it's all vibration. Those two things are very true. Now, let me tell you what the condition is by which we can literally think a thing and have that thing manifest immediately. It happened with me while I was in the jail cell when I was fasting. And the condition by which the heirs can begin to command the elements, the natural elements, is the more alkaline your body is. The more alkaline your body is. Yes, in the chat, superpowers are precursors for much greater force control. Yes, absolutely. So we can control all laws because we are all laws. So we can control the laws of gravity and the laws of nature and the laws of this and that. And we can control all of that. The more alkaline our bodies are, we then begin to match the vibration of the things that are around us. How do you get your body to be more alkaline? That's the question, because here's one thing we know about an alkaline body. An alkaline body, disease cannot exist in a body that is as alkaline as it can be. Disease cannot exist. Aging cannot exist in a body that is as alkaline as it can be. Yes, Justice Peter. He said when you change the way you look at a thing, the thing you look at will change. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And in the bibliophilio text, it affirms that statement by saying that in the last day, which is now, and it's not the last day for us because we have no last day. So then who is it the last day for? I'll let you think about that. Or what is it the last day for? But in the last day, the bibliophilio text says that the scales will fall off of our eyes and we will be able to behold the Lamb that is God, which is in the mirror of the heirs. So how do you make your body more alkaline? Because see, back in the 30s and the 20s and all of that, the hybrids were saying, oh, you know, we know what the cure for cancer is, but we're not going to put it out there. We know the one thing we will say is that cancer cannot exist in an alkaline environment. It says environment. Now, that's where I'm going. Empress Portia says in the chat, eat right. I'm going there, but we're going to take that a step further where alkaline, our sovereign alkaline bodies are concerned, whereby we can manifest that which we need to manifest. Okay? Yes, Justice Ramos, you know I'm going right there. We have always been told, yes, all of that in the chat is true. Lemon, Empress, it says Empress Jazzy, Empress Minnie. Empress Minnie, correct. Lemon, fire, air, water, earth, alkaline water, limes that are non-GMO, Empress Shade. Absolutely. All of that is correct. Empress Portia says eat right. All of that is correct. We can take that a step further so that we can get there in the way that we want to see it manifest. Many of us. Some of us don't want to see that manifest yet. Some of us don't want to command that the sun shines all year long, 365 days a year, like it is right now here. I'm at Northwest New Mexico, I'm at the Pacific Northwest part of it, and the sun is beaming just as bright as if I was in Hawaii somewhere. How do we get our bodies in alignment with nature? Because nature is alkaline. Nature is not acidic. It's alkaline. That's why when you see plants that are not genetically modified are alkaline plants. They have an alkaline base or a neutral base. And so do the minerals and things like that. There are some minerals that are acidic, but we have to take a closer look at those because they're not naturally occurring. Let's take that whole eating thing, lemons and alkaline water and limes and all of that. Let's take that a step further. When I was in the POW camp, voluntarily, by my own authority, I wasn't eating anything. I was just drinking water. And I spoke about how the toxins were leaving. Well, it has occurred to me since then, and I know this to be the truth, that the hybrids they will not be around us if we make the more alkaline our bodies are. They cannot be around us when our bodies are more alkaline. Because we begin to command things to happen, and those things happen in this realm, including command over the hybrids. I mean, I saw it there day in and day out. I was there for 11 days, and I saw in that time period 11 days, and I saw them not be able to move the way that they initially intended to move because my body was as alkaline as it was. And so pure energy from the universe that commands the elements was able to come through. That's ancient ancestral energy. So let's take all of that a step further. What would happen? And this is just something to think about. What would happen if a group of us came together and said, okay, for 13 days, we're going to unify and be together, and we're not going to eat. We're just going to drink lots and lots and lots of water, and we're going to meditate, and then we're just going to command some things to happen and see what happens when we command those things to happen, when we unify and come together and command those things to happen. I will tell you this, that the hybrids were doing their own versions of that. And, you know, a lot of them, they had to stop doing that because that's not for them. They had to stop doing it. Yes, in the chat, lo and behold, our bodies become more alkaline the more water we filter. When we filter the acids out, then the natural alkalinity occurs. Okay? And when the natural alkalinity occurs and you pair that with a spiritual and a metaphysical practice of peace, inner peace. Now this is something that the hybrids been pointing to them for a while, because they know that they can't do it, but they know we can. So it's just something to think about. We're just going to look forward in that direction and just see. It's not something for anybody to run out today and, you know, because that's not it's not. You have to be inspired by
your bullshit's getting pretty deep tonight, Pauline.
You have to be inspired by the ancestors to even do
Fuck
that.
off, Pauline. All rise and stand, you dumbass move.
Just a moment. Hold on. Let me get rid of the monkey.
Oh, you having a little trouble again tonight, Paul?
This is the part. No, I'm not having any problems. Are you having problems? Goodbye. Goodbye. We're in complete control yet again, and we're going to stay in control of everything that has to do with us.
Oh, hello. You're not in control, you dumb bitch. You're not.
Yes, we're in complete control. Goodbye. And all the other ones that you signed in under, they're going to be muted and booted too. So I'm giving you fair warning. And so these things that we're talking about right now are the things that the energies already know, that when we get these things and implement these things in our lives, that it's even more of a wrap. Then you start talking about living longer, past 90 and 99 and 100 and 110 and 15, 120. That's when you start talking about stretching your life
All the mooks that are dying from COVID,
you know what I'm saying?
What?
That's when you're, and yes, they do know that. That's what you're talking about, stretching life out for us. Because again, we're eternal anyway. And our prophet knew it too. That's why he talked about keeping our body clean with water. He knew that. He knew it. So it's going to be the things that I'm talking about right now are things that where we're looking forward and we're saying, okay, we've made tremendous progress. The grand rising is in full effect and it's on high. Now, where do we go from here? What are we looking forward to from here? And this is just one of many, many manifestations that we're just looking forward. When we talk about it, all it is for you to just look at it and start doing your study and your research. That's what it's for. It's an introduction to longevity. Our ancestors said when we honor them that they would make our days long upon the land which the law has given us. And when they talk about the law giving us anything, it's because, number one, we are the law, and number two, when we observe the laws of nature and the laws of the universe and the law that we are, it's going to be automatic longevity. Because, see, now you're talking about heirs living a long time and the matriarchs being able to bear children well up into their 80s and 90s and all of that. Because, see, you know, the stories in the Bible about Sarah and Abraham and all of that, that's true. It actually happened. It actually happened. But there's processes to it. Okay. Once when I was in the POW camp and I did the 10-day fast with just water, even throughout the night, water. And I was exercising at the same time. After the 5th or 6th day, I could feel myself getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And by the 10th day, it actually caught me by surprise that they were saying we gotta get you out of here. You know, it caught me by surprise because I was thinking, man, I'm getting so strong. If I do this for at least 2 or 3 more days, I'm gonna be like, ain't no telling what I'll be able to do. I knew that I was going to be able to do some things that I've never done before in my life. But again, even when my body was in alignment, you know, and our bodies are always in alignment because of the way that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Okay? Coming from the sovereign womb, that's it right there. That's all we needed was this bloodline and this birthright. But there's some things we can do. And when we do these things, I'm telling you, there's no demonstration you can do where you can be denied anything. Yeshua kind of gave us a hint when he did a 40-day fast. And this is according to what we've read in the biblical text, which we know is anthropomorphic in many ways. And we've been given an anthropomorphic perspective to look at, and now we know. But once our bodies are alkaline to a particular degree, because there are degrees to alkalinity, and we pair that with the law coming out of our mouths and out of our spirits, and our sovereign demonstration, there is no force in existence that can stop us, because when we're as alkaline as we can be, everything around us matches. It matches, including the cosmos. So when we match, even in the physical manifestation, we match the cosmos. The ancestors literally, when we speak, everything around us will do exactly as commanded. Everything around us will do it. I only fasted for 10 days. And the people who had the keys to the door couldn't open the door because they were not given permission to open the door by me. And that's why I'm saying let's just look at it. Just look at it and do some study and do some study and do more study. Some of the study you can do on this, on how an alkaline, and even on how eternal we are. There's a story of one of us. Her name, well, they say her name, but her appellation, it was Henrietta Lacks, Lacks. Henrietta Lacks. If you do the study on Empress Henrietta Lacks, and I call her Empress, I don't think she knew she was a Moor. If she did, they didn't include that part in the story about her. But she had cancer. She was a Moor, and she had cancer. And even after so the hybrids took cells from her. And even after she passed away, they were able to create cures from her living cells, and even today her cells are still alive in their medical laboratories. Even today, and she passed away, I believe, in 68 or 69 or something like that. So yes, these bodies are a conduit for ancient ancestral energy. That's why we have this makeup that we have. Oh, that's good, Justice Jeremiah. That's really good. That's really good. Now you're talking Superman stuff and Wakanda and all of that. Because they know that that's true. The story of X-Men and the story of all of that. Let me tell you something. If you want a regular demonstration of, let's just say you're having a problem with utilities, okay, and the hybrids are trying to do something where utilities are concerned, and they're trying to turn off some utilities, et cetera, et cetera. How about this? Get fasting and drinking lots of water. Fasting and drinking lots of water and do that for as long as you're led to do it over that situation. And keep the peace You don't even have to talk to hybrids who are attempting to exercise some authority over your estate. Just fast a little bit. Fast a few days. Drink lots of water. Then speak to that situation and watch what happens. Do a sovereign court action over that situation. And watch what happens. Just as your more put something in the chat, he says, when we are working nature rightly, when we're working nature rightly, nature works as we work. As we remember how to precisely raise the jewels we generate, we activate vibranium melanin to really play. Yes. Yes. Because now not only are your words and your energy in alignment, but the temple, the body. Now nothing's out of alignment at all. Everything is in alignment. Everything is in alignment. Even if it's just a one day, 24 hours where you just drink more water than you've ever drank before. Every 30, 45, 50 minutes. Drink as much water as you can fit in your stomach. And then sit somewhere peacefully and quietly. Go to the, park, the waterfront, your meditation closet, somewhere where you can be completely at peace. And for some people, they can sit in the middle of the floor in a daycare center and be completely at peace. That's a craft. Okay. Yeah, you know what, Empress Portia, because see, that's good what you put in the chat. She said, so fasting exercise, right, through professors like prepping for a fight on all realms. While tuning up to the frequencies of our ancestors, like the transmitters and receivers that we are. Absolutely. Absolutely. Except it's not a fight. When we move into the direction of making our bodies more alkaline, in alignment with the law, by the way. Because think about it. When our heirs are first born, they're almost completely alkaline. If we've been taking in the water and all of that stuff. That's why some people love the way baby's feet smell and they love baby's breath, because everything is alkaline. And then comes the vaccine, okay, used to be. But now we know better. Now we know better. So this is just, I'm just pointing in a particular direction, and yes, I am going to unlock the meeting so that those who are out can come in. Because, see, one thing I do know also, Morris, is that we can do lemons and, things like that. Those things help. All of that helps. The quickest way, and we're not in a rush, but when you're talking about living longer and getting rid of disease and all of that, no food at all, unless, and see, this is the thing, all we're preparing to do is take a break from fake food so that we can grow our real food. And that's already, our real food is already grown. We don't even really have to do that much to make that happen, because it's, as the frequency of the earth is changing, because we're awake, you can basically just go out there and look, and you'll see plants and things start to spring up that are natural to this land, but that has not been seen in 100 years. And they're starting to bloom again, including in the places that have been called deserts. There are plants blooming out there that have been native to this, that have been natural. I don't like the word native, even though that's still one of our words. It's not my favorite word. that are natural to the land. So we're just preparing our body to take in that which is natural. So we're moving from the artificial, because that's part of the transition too. That's part of the reset. Part of the reset is our bodies are going to match our thoughts and everything else. Empress Valerie, that's so wise and so, that's just, you would think that that was common sense, but we've been, you know, a lot of the programming has been to the contrary. And that's why people have been dying faster. Because the programming says we have to take pharmaceuticals and all of that in order for us to be alkaline. Empress Valerie, she put in the chat, do not take pharmaceutical drugs, that will help keep you alkaline. That is so true. Before I woke up, and this was many years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I went for a checkup, a regular checkup. And there was nothing wrong with me. I was healthy. And I still am. But even at that time, the fake doctor was saying, well, it looks like your numbers are a little bit high. They're borderline. That's what she said, borderline. Borderline means you're healthy, but they need a reason to give you a prescription. It's borderline. It's not bad. It's just borderline. But we don't want it to get bad. So we're going to do some calcium blockers. Calcium blockers. They want to block what's natural, what's naturally occurring. Because, see, everyone knows we have the strongest teeth and hair and nails and skin. Those are calcium and keratin and carbon-based organs. But they wanted to block that because they said she's healthy. We need to make her unhealthy if we expect to make any PI. You know. Calcium blockers for no reason. That was the last straw for me with fake doctors, and that was many years before I woke up and realized and knew who I was. All I thought was, you know what, I'm not going back to them ever because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And they didn't. She was doing medicine for her type. For her type. Not for us. Our cells are not even shaped the same. Our cells are perfectly round. How do we know that our cells are perfectly round and hybrid cells are not perfectly round? Because the hybrids, number one, they know what their cells look like. Number two, we should have known that our cells are perfectly formed because whenever there is an introduction of something foreign into our bodies, it is the things that result from misshapen cells are things like sickle cell disease that's supposed to be more prevalent in the Moors than in the hybrids. Well, wonder why, supposedly, that used to be the case. Because they would introduce something foreign that would cause the cell to, one cell becomes misshapen, and then it reproduces or duplicates, and other misshapen cells happen. But that's not even natural. We can heal ourselves from that too. Leukemia and things like that. We can heal ourselves from that. Now, I will say this. The things that I've seen on YouTube from our brother, Dr. Studye, he knew that. So he would have people come to Honduras and fast and drink water from the Honduran wells and springs. And I'll tell you this, Morris, every natural water source here is the fountain of youth. So you don't have to travel all the way down there. When you got artesian wells, right? Every last one of us has artesian wells at the end of our block. It's called a fire hydrant, and it's attached to the actual water that is the natural water. That's how come they can't meter it and monitor it. So they just put a hydrant on it and put a sign on it that says, don't touch it. That's what that is. It's naturally flowing artesian well water. That's what that is. But if you Google artesian wells, every one of us have them in our territories where people go and they line up and they fill their jug, their water jugs with well water. We do it here. We have one in Olympia territory. We have another one up further where we go twice a month and just fill up our containers with this water that's coming straight out the earth. And on its way up, it's going through rocks and things like that have the minerals and the ores and all of that, so that we can stay healthy and naturally occurring. And it's got lots of good sulfur in it also, because we know that sulfur and carbon, when they come together, it has a regenerative effect. So this is more science specifically for the air. We're fasting and drinking lots and lots and lots and lots of water. See, that's why our ancestors lived around water all the time. And again, how does this relate to your everyday things that you're doing and your demonstrations where you got policy enforcers trying to pull people over and all this stuff? Fast a few days and see what happens. Fast and drink lots and lots of water and stay at peace during your fasting. And stay in and do as much as you can to keep the peace and to practice peace, so that even if things are supposed to upset you, they don't upset you. And then speak into the situation. Speak life into the situation. And how do we do that? It's the same thing we've been saying. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign living Article 3 Moorish American ancient Moroccan consular court action. Speak life into everything. And watch the ancestors. I'm telling you, they go before us and then they come after us and just go ham. I'm telling you. They go ham on our behalf. They fix everything. People, situations, everything, they fix it all. All we have to do is align with the laws. Align with the laws. Align. And keep aligning. Doesn't mean you have to go on a 40-day fast. You don't have to do that. But just take you a couple of days when you're ready. When you're ready. Only when you're ready. And only after you've done the study. Now, there's another something that, a part of this. Yes, Empress, if that's what works for you, if one day works for you, if half a day works for you, but get started on doing all that you can to make your body more alkaline. And I'll tell you this, even about that whole food piece. See, the food, think about it. The food has been the killer of the body, of the air. The food has been the killer. But food does not have to have us. It doesn't have to have us. It doesn't have to control us. I love food just as much as anyone else. But the more I'm looking at what's really going on and being able to see what's really going on, I know that our food, our living natural foods are all around us and they're starting to manifest everywhere and for some people they've been manifested. For our brothers and sisters in the islands and all of that, those natural foods have been manifested. Here they're manifesting. So with those foods manifesting, I know that my body is aligning itself so that when I take those foods in, the natural ones that are the handiwork of our own hands, that our demonstrations are going to be even greater. You see? So everything that we've been doing from day one. And again, this doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't cost us anything to do this. In fact, we save sovereign credits when we behalf. Now, yes, Empress Portia, that's just brilliant. We'll be less fearful. Fear is in the food. It's just a chemical in the food. I'll tell you that's the truth. Fear is a chemical in the food. I'll prove that. When you see someone, and I'm just going to use someone who is, let's say, 400 pounds. Because we've all seen those shows on television where you know, the person is morbidly obese, and they've gotten to the point where they won't even come out of the house. They won't even come out of the house. But think about this. The first thing that happens to us when our bodies get more in alignment with nature and the natural laws, guess what grows first? Our confidence. Doesn't it? Our confidence. Because we're losing the fear. We've gotten control of the consumption of fear. True. And when we get control of the consumption of fear and we stop consuming all of that fear, because if you really think about it, the food, especially meat, the animals that have been slaughtered to make the meat, they live in fear their whole lives. And then, you know, because it's not natural for them to be pinned up and all of this and that and the third. Okay? It's not natural for that. So when they're stressed like that, their whole lives they're stressed. From the time they're born, they're stressed. And then at the slaughterhouse, they're actually literally watching everyone in front of them walk into the slaughter thing, and then they walk into the slaughter thing, and there's nothing they can do about it. To the slaughterhouse. There's nothing they can do about it. Well, if there's nothing that they can do about walking into the slaughterhouse, okay, then they die fearful. Well, what kind of chemicals have they released in their body while they're waiting to die? What kind of chemicals were released? Well, and then those chemicals stay in their makeup, and then here we go, eating the fearful food, the food that's just born and bred fearful. And what do we expect to feel when we do that? What do we expect to feel? What do we expect to feel when we eat? I mean, yes. See, Empress Portia, that's brilliant too, because we talk about the trauma of slavery. We're not even thinking about the trauma that the animals go through, and when we sit there talking about we having a nice big steak. So we're adding to any trauma that was already there, if there be any. So what are we doing really? What are we doing? And yes, so then when certain chemical reactions happen in our body, when we're about to do a demonstration or whatever, and fear rises when we're doing the demonstration, we're getting fear from all these different places, and we actually have to overcome that in order to even do the demonstration. We have to overcome that. So these are all things to think about, because see, that's what we're here for. And yes, that's brilliant too, Justice almost. All meat is cloned with fear, vaccinated with fear, and slaughtered in fear. So what do we expect? What do we expect to feel? But see, this is the part about all of that. The fear, see, the hybrids had to do all of that. And look at what we're doing still. We're still overcoming the fear and demonstrating our sovereign status regardless of how scared we may feel. That's why we don't do feelings and beliefs, because all of that stuff comes, that's a colonial program.
Are you still starting your fucking bullshit, Pauline?
You know what I'm saying? So, with that being colonial programming, it's, what do we expect? What do we expect to feel? So now let's just hold on for just one second. It's Justice Alex. Is that you? Were you about to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Justice.
Oh no, Empress. It's
Okay.
Ayo.
Islam. So, and then even the meats and things, all of that stuff is designed to add acid to us and to our bodies, so that the acid levels stay high. So think about it. If you're made of acid, which is oxyribonucleic acid for us, and deoxyribonucleic acid for the animals, if we're made of acid and we keep putting more acid in our bodies and we never fast from the acid and use the water to clean it out, because water cleans out the acid. It flushes it out. Our prophet knew that. So if we're oxyribonucleic is, it means one made of one atomic acid. And Adam, and see, this is where all of that whole anthropomorphic Adam and Eve stuff comes from. And Adam is indivisible. That means it can't be divided. It can't be divided. And if we can't be divided in science, if we can't be divided in science, then we can't be divided, period. Scientifically, we can't be divided. So then what do we, when we actually put our minds together and unify, when we say, okay, we're going to do unity energy, no one can divide us, period. And again, with us making our bodies more alkaline, and then speaking the law, and then doing our sovereign affidavit, because we're still there. We're still doing that. Because we have to know how to do that, to craft the affidavit in capitis, dimiutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sub juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. We still have to know how to do that. And when we do that, along with making our bodies aligned with the laws of nature, then guess what? We're in alignment with every form of law out there. Okay? Every form of law. So when our mouth says we're the sovereign, and then our documents say we're sovereign because they're written in red and all lowercase letters. And then our bodies say we're sovereign, and then our energy says we're sovereign because we're peaceful. We don't need to be not people. We don't need to be warring because, see, war energy tells them that the sovereign don't know who they are yet. That's why we don't need war energy, because the hybrid was the war energy. That was the shadow of the lower self. So when we're in alignment in all of those ways, and then we turn around and do all of that on a full moon, so now we're all aligned from the heavens down to the earth and beneath the earth. What do we think is going to manifest? Everything we ever wanted. Everything we ever wanted. Yes. Yes. Justice Amos, you better go on with that for real. I mean, you know, those are all true, except that one there that says Pauline is a cult leader. I don't know what that is. That's not true, the one that's in it. But, you know what? I'm thinking about that cult leader thing. We're all culture leaders because we determine our own culture. And see, that's important too. Okay? Every last one of us is a cult leader because we're leading our culture back to where it should be. So even the hybrid, you all right. I booted you out, but you all right. Because that's the truth too. All Moors are culture leaders. Yes, it was intercourse. It was accepted for value. I booted you out, but so now our job, one of our top priorities and top responsibilities is to return our culture to its natural state. Because our culture says God. Our culture says God. Turbans and fezes say God. That's why they were trying to wear them and was looking absolutely crazy with them on. Because everyone knows, no, that's not it. It's the Moors. They're the God, not them, not that other stuff. So that's just another something for us to start looking at now that we are wide awake and operating in our sovereign status, and we are our sovereign status, etc. We want to start looking at that also, further looking forward to how best we can continue to align with our ancient foremothers and forefathers and continue to manifest as them because we are them. And I'll say this even about getting our bodies more alkaline and in alignment. We are those portals that people have been talking about, like, ooh, if you go to the North Pole, there's a portal there that will let all types of, you know, stuff come in from the ethers and all of that kind of stuff. We're that. We're walking portals. We're walking portals. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. Yes, yes. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. We're the portal. I saw it with my own eyes, day after day after day while I was in the POW camp. A living portal that stopped all energies that were counter to it, to our ancient ancestral energy. Our ancestors were just manifesting through me to where the energies were halted. The energies that sought to harm, the energies that sought to do citizen stuff. Those energies could not move. They couldn't function. They had to do exactly as they were commanded. Because my body was more alkaline than it had ever been. Because I had never been on a 10-day fast up to that point. I've been on 3 days and, you know, other time periods of fasting. And I've been on fast longer than that from certain things. For example, meat. You know, it's easy for most of us to fast from meat for, you know, months and even years at a time, and some permanently. But to fast from everything except water, the ancestors just, they manifested themselves through me that way, and there's no way that I can see that and not say, more, there's a way we can do this. There's a way we can do it. There's a way we can manifest greater. That policy enforcers, and I'll tell you this, policy enforcers won't even pull you over when your energy is a certain way. They won't, because see, we always thought that when policy enforcers get behind you, and, you know, you're traveling in the jurisdiction of your ancient ancestral inherited estate, and they're behind you, we think that they're, you know, just tapping on their computer looking for stuff. They are doing that sometimes, but they're also, you know, because this is a spiritual situation, they're also checking energy, and the ancestors will say, okay, go ahead and pull them over. Or the ancestors will say, don't pull them over. The ancestors will say, you don't have permission to pull that more over. So just go on around them and keep going. Tags or no tags. Doesn't matter. Broken tail light or no broken tail. Doesn't matter. And then sometimes we're tested that way with new singles, etc. So I'm going to unlock the meeting so that the more that are out can come in as well. So I just wanted to trying to become clear to me. Yes. Oh man, Justice Ramos, that's brilliant. He received a revelation, a further revelation on his fast.
You're still going on,
I've never
Pauline?
been through. I've never been through.
You're still talking tonight, Pauline?
A fast.
You're still talking about all your cult nonsense, Pauline? When are you?
Let me boost the monkey business. Because we're gonna let the Moors come on in. But when we fast, we do receive
when are you going
you know, revelations and things like that. We receive revelations that we did not have before. It never fails with every fast. Things that we've been seeking, answers that we've been looking for, we always get them when we fast. And then you can literally see the ancestors moving around us and putting things in its proper place. Because, see, the more alkaline, again, that we are, we're in alignment with all of the energies. All of them. We're in alignment with them. And so the ancestors can just move and do, you know, and they've been able to do that without fasting, because I know when I first woke up, I was just trying to put things together. And whenever I did wake up, I didn't think about fasting at that time. You know, I didn't think about fasting, but had the ancestors said something to me about fasting, then I would have, just because, you know, just a minute, just a second. Okay. Are you know, I never thought about fasting or saw the correlation between what we're doing now and what we're doing later. You know, what we were growing into and what the grand rising was all about. The grand rising is all about us matching the law on all levels and all dimensions, in the spirit realm, the natural, in our bodies, in what we say and what we do, and what you know, who we call ourselves, and the other things that we name. That's what this is all about. And fasting is another part of that. You know, and for some people they fast and they'll eat the lemons and limes and things like that. I find that for me, it's all or nothing. It's got to be, and it's not really all or nothing, but the alkalinity that I'm looking for returns quicker when I just do water. And when I just drink water. Every hour there's a certain amount of water that I have to drink when I'm fasting, especially the first 3 days. Because the first 3 days is when, you know, a lot of the toxins and things, and the body is readjusting, and, you know, the body is getting itself in alignment and finding out what it needs to rid itself of, and finding out what it needs to heal. Because, see, once we get rid of the majority of that acid, then the blood starts looking for, okay, I don't have to remove waste. I don't have to take the time to remove waste because she's not taking in anything. So now let me look around and see if there's anything that needs to be healed. Are there any wounds? Is there any cells out of alignment? Is there anything going on that I need to go to and focus on to heal it? And then the body will do that. So, physician, we can heal ourselves. Oh, yes, Justice Amos, that's good. He said your other faculties come online. I can tell you this. When I was in the POW camp, I could hear so well, and my vision, the first on day 3, 4, and 5, my vision went a little blurry, but I knew what was happening. It was things were being cleaned out because I was seeing evidence of things being cleaned out. After the 6th day, my vision got so clear. And, you know, I don't have visual issues, but I could see that my vision and my hearing had sharpened significantly. And then, you know, the peace became more and more and more and more apparent. Our bodies fill with peace because naturally we're peaceful. I mean, think about all the stuff that we've watched. You know, the media has been trying to prompt us to get up out in the streets and just go hog wild. Well, we're not hogs, so we're not going to get out there and go hog wild just because the media put some Hollywood actors up there and, you know, show something that might say, oh, that's an injustice, etc. Now, we know some injustice is real, we see that. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But we're naturally peaceful people anyway. But this is a peace that passes all understanding. Empress Patricia, that's good. You know what? That's completely in alignment. She put in the chat, inhaling and exhaling deeply can help alkalize your body about 5 minutes a day. Yes. And just imagine if we did that all throughout the day and the night. And then just imagine if we paired that with a water fast, a 1-day water fast, where we spend that whole day from sun up to sundown. And all we're doing is deeply breathing in and out and drinking lots and lots and lots of water and practicing peace. Because see, you know, folks are not going up and down the road and all of that kind of stuff like they were previously. So we have time to do that. We can focus on being peace. And then if you go on YouTube, there's some breathing exercises. Because see, I'll tell you something else about breathing and the airs. Did you know that if, let's say, if we're stuff, you know, if there's an heir who has headaches, migraines, or whatever the case may be, and we breathe in deeply as if we're going to hyperventilate, but we stop short of hyperventilate, we can actually reset our whole body instantly and then wait just a few minutes and the headache will go away. Why? Because we're resetting the oxygen levels, which automatically is going to reset the chemical levels. And the point of all of that is homeostasis, which is an alkaline state. Homeostasis in the body means that the body is as alkaline and peaceful as possible. Homeostasis is that. And that's a practice. And that's something we can do. Let me say this about all of that too, more, because I've reached some awarenesses lately that really just, so I was watching a video the other day, and it was a car show, an auto show. And the show took place in Dubai, corporate Dubai, which doesn't even really exist. And it was all women who were supposedly supercar owners. Okay, that's what they claim to be, supercar owners. And one of the, the host of the show said, I'm going to go and I'm going to ask each one of these supercar owners. And when I say supercar, or when they say supercar, because that ain't a supercar to us, but when they say supercar, they had like cars that were $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000 and, that kind of thing. That's not supercar to us. They should be supercar to us. But all these women had these conveyances, and the host went and asked each one of the women, what do you do for a living? And the ancestors, normally I don't spend a whole lot of time watching that kind of stuff, but the ancestors are always speaking to all of us. And the majority of them were psychologists, psychiatrists, or doctors of some kind, or they were business owners. And then I started thinking about that, and I said, well, I already know they don't get anything without our consent. So what happens to all of that madness right there of these hybrids in supercars, which I'm not mad at them. They can have a supercar if they want. If that's what they call a supercar and that's what they feel like they want is a supercar. Okay, that's great. If that's what you want to have, that's what you want to have. Because we can see a lot further than that. But the ancestor made it clear to me that once we do what we're doing now, which is aligning completely with our ancestral energy, none of them will be able to do what they're doing. Because, see, there's not a single one of them who is a quote-unquote psychiatrist or doctor that does not have at least one moorishe patient. They always make sure they have at least one because they need the autograph in order to continue doing what they're doing. Yes, and of course they'll be cut off if they try and have only hybrids patients. Just like at these fake churches. Now, we honor original Christianity because we know what it's for. It's for the right reason, to worship the real creator, which is the Moors. But even in the church where there's 99.99.99% hybrid, and they can't even get none of us to come there, they will go out and hire a Moorish drummer or a Moorish singer or a Moorish someone, a Moorish someone, even if it's a Moorish janitor at these mega places. They have to have one of us there, signing things and consenting that they can exist there. So that's really what that's all about, is consent for them to exist on this land like they do. But they can't do it if we don't consent to that, and we know that. So I said all that to say this: when we get ourselves in alignment, we won't need a church, we won't need a psychiatrist, we won't need a psychologist, and if we do, we got them amongst the Moors. That's why I said what I said. That's the whole point of us getting in alignment in our bodies. And by the words that we speak, we're being unified and we're all speaking with one voice. And then we're tapping into our superabbilities now. Because see, if you want to see some levitation and some things floating and some, you know, if you want to see all of that, let a group of the Moors come together like we did back in the day and fast for 10 or 12 or 9 days or 3 days or whatever the case may be. Because see, we've done several 3-day fasts nationally as the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government unified has done several 3-day fasts where we did water only or the Moors fasted from something that they needed to fast from. So we were still unified even if they were eating things, but they fasted from sugar or they fasted from meat or you fasted from arguing with people or you fasted from, you know, something. Well, what do we think is going to happen when we align like that? The ancestors give us access to the estate even more and more and more, and the estate is first us. Seek ye first the empire, and all of that other stuff, the conveyances, the health, and all of that stuff will be added unto you. We're seeking alignment with our ancestral energies first, because there's no demonstration that will not work when our bodies are in alignment with the way that our ancestors did things.
And tonight on Bullshit Theater.
Period. There is absolutely nothing we can't do, either together or as sovereign, in proprio solo. So that's just some things to look at to pair with your demonstrations. Because see, we know that as we've been doing these demonstrations that we're doing, that that the ancestors are constantly adding things to the demonstration. And some people, were angry that they learned how to do one affidavit, but they forgot about all the, like the energy parts and all of that. They learned how to do one lien, and they want the whole estate open because they know how to do a lien. But there's more that we need to, yes, the estate is doing what it's supposed to do. When we lien everybody, they're supposed to pretend like they have COVID or whatever, however that works. they're supposed to shut everything down because we know that the tractors and trailers and all that don't have no COVID. So something bigger is going. Okay. So all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing, and when we align ourselves like we're doing that part first, and making that our priority, then everything else is gonna fall into place. It's already in place. All we have to do is speak life to it. So that's just another something to put with your demonstration so that your demonstrations become even more powerful and more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. That's why we're here, is to rise. That's what makes sincerity so important, because when we're sincere, the ancestors will take that energy and use it to open other doors in our knowing and also in this realm. Okay, so let's just keep going. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is it's only getting better and better and better for us. Only getting better and better and better for us. That's it. And all we have to do is keep adding to the better. That's it. And keep speaking life. Everywhere we go, speak life. When we say speak life, we mean literally speak life. All rise and stand, all rise from the dead and stand sovereign, or stand in your subject status. That's speaking life. That's keeping the peace. That's how you keep the peace. You keep the peace by using court actions to put away all corporate war. Because see, it's the corpses that have been warring. The subjects have not been warring. And I believe that's where that thin line has been, where some people want to claim that, we don't like hybrids and all of that. It's not. We don't like corpses. And it's not a matter of not liking them. We just put them in their place. So anybody acting in corporate status, whether it be a hybrid or a sleeping Moor, we reveal that corporate status and move it out the way, and then there's a subject there. And the sovereigns, for the sovereigns who are sleeping Moors, who are acting in corporate status, when we remove that, you stand in your sovereign status already too, whether you know it or not. You've been awakened. When we say all rise and stand, period. So let's keep going. Let's keep perfecting and perfecting and perfecting and perfecting, so that we are without spot or wrinkle or blemish or any such thing as we continue moving into all of the access to the vast estate. Are there any other questions, comments, or anything? The chat's been just beautiful. It's been absolutely beautiful. Questions, comments, if you'll star 6 so we can hear you, if you have any questions or comments about any of the things that we've discussed. That's amazing. I didn't even have to put it in lecture notes tonight. Okay. With that being said, we'll go ahead and stop here for now. And we will pick up again on Sunday. Islam. Peace and grand rising to the heirs. Islam.
Peace and grand rising. Light and love.
Grand
rising.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam. Grand rising to the heirs. Hotep, beloved.
Islam. Yes, Islam. Long live the empire just in front.
Long live the empire. Light and love. Hotep.
Love, love, love. Yes. Islam.
Gratitude,
Much
good
peace
goddess.
and much love, Morris. Love you much. Thank you, Frank. Love you much.
We love. We love, we live.
Go back in my hand for a minute. You need to change.
Islam.